If I were to say like, hey, what's your definition of marketing? What's your definition of leadership? How do you develop people? How do you scale a business profitably? How do you go about and create a culture? You might not know the answer to all of these questions. Hello, everybody. Michael Harding here with the Chick-fil-A on Cantrell Road. And as you can see, we're doing things a little different today, as I want to talk about some more strategy with interviewing and how to go about these interviews in a unique way. So thank you again for watching our next episode of Memorable in Minutes. And today we're going to talk about ways that you can know more about yourself, ways that you can better answer that first step in our 3-step process of B.L.U.F. For those of y'all that haven't watched those series, B.L.U.F stands for bottom line up front. And you want to answer the question that's going through. But maybe you don't know your answer. If I were to say like, hey, what's your definition of marketing? What's your definition of leadership? How do you develop people? How do you scale a business profitably? How do you go about and create a culture? You might not know the answer to all of these questions. So today I want to talk about some strategy or a thought process of how I go and develop these areas in myself. So today we're actually going to go back old school and we're going to talk about a pie chart. And as we go into this concept, I want to unpack one aspect first. And it's this concept of business acumen. Now, for those of y'all that might not know what acumen means, it's really just a fancy word for knowledge of. So when I talk to people across the United States and I say growing your business acumen, that's just really fancy talk for growing your knowledge of business. So if I say your marketing acumen, that means knowledge of marketing. If I say growing your Chick-fil-A acumen, that means knowledge of Chick-fil-A. So what I want to talk through today is when I think about what makes up business acumen, in my mind, I think about it like a pie chart. And if this entire circle makes up business acumen, now there are different chunks that make up different aspects of business acumen. So let's start breaking it apart. So what I always like to start off with is some of the examples that I've already given. Think about your chief suites in some of these major businesses. Maybe it's marketing. So one aspect of business acumen is marketing. You might also have another one of finances and making sure you have that CFO and doing things the right way. Maybe it's people. You also might have legal. You have operations. Maybe even in my realm of things, you have Chick-fil-A. And even the restaurant. So you have different aspects that make a business acumen. And what I always like to talk about is this isn't a complete list. It's not like there are only these sections of business acumen. There are thousands of different areas of business acumen and what goes into it. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to talk about these aspects. And what I want to challenge you with is, as a business leader, how are you doing with all of these areas? You might be amazing and passionate about marketing, but let's say that your knowledge of the finances are not very high. When you start looking at knowing about yourself, this is a great representation to figure out what you need to learn. So if you take this and you're like, okay, out of this entire pie chart, 40% of my knowledge is out of marketing, which could be good, but only 5% of my knowledge is anything to do with finances. Maybe that means that you want to try to grow this to 20%. And you're going to go read some different books of some financial gurus that are learning different aspects. Or maybe in the reverse section, your aspect of marketing is only 5%. And maybe you want to go start learning from like a Gary Vaynerchuk with VaynerMedia to learn different ways about marketing. So that's what I would always challenge people to do, is look at your own individual pie chart, put some percentages around the pie chart, and then strive to figure out how you can grow different sections. But then also, do you know what your definition of how to develop people? Do you know enough about the laws of the land of the place that you live? Do you know about how to do the operations within the industry that you're in? Do you know about your brand or the specific aspect, like a restaurant that I'm in? Do you know enough about these things? And if not, it's a great indicator to learn more things. So, and then finally, what I would always tell people as an additional principle to learn is all of these interview questions that you're asked, don't just stay in one of these buckets. Show yourself as a multi-dimensional leader. So here in my restaurant, when I'm teaching people how to go for higher level positions, I don't say just your restaurant acumen, or maybe even just your Chick-fil-A acumen. I teach people, talk to me about something that you learned from Gary Vaynerchuk. Go and look at how Amazon is doing their operation and how we can improve. Go look at some amazing companies like Zappos and how they treat their employees that you can bring to our restaurant. Then you take some of these things and as a whole, bring it to the business that you're in. But don't just stick within the Chick-fil-A or the restaurant acumen sections of the pie. So that's what we want to talk about today, is a little bit of a shorter video where I'm just unpacking what I mean by business acumen and the different sections of what makes up business acumen. And if you answer these different questions, it can help you formulate the answers to the B.L.U.F question that we asked at a previous video. Thank y'all once again for watching Memorable in Minutes, and we'll see you next week.